All right. And welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 2. And we're going to look at a tragic story out of Wisconsin. Did you hear about this? A Wisconsin teenager who killed his parents?
And had this whole manifesto on his phone about this, that, and it's like, really? You think that taking out the president is going to kill the whole government's going to go down by just taking out the president? There's a lot of good people behind him, and there's a whole lot of people in line that would do a pretty darn good job at the moment. So it's not gonna.
Including one of his senators, Ron Johnson, would be a great
Yes.
president. I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just a ton of people in line to move on down the road with. We haven't been in this position before, but this is just the rhetoric gets to some of these people who are not mentally stable anyway. And all of this negative rhetoric that comes out, I'm going to leave that word instead of other things I want to say.
Yes, maybe
rhetoric, authentic Western rhetoric.
I can't hear the H. Say it again.
Anyhow, it all it does is just fuels all these people.
And you see a lot of these young people, I mean, on the left and on the right, it's like they're all very emotional. Everything is just, there's the rational thought seems to be sucked out of the minds of these young people somehow, and they just can't decipher good from bad or evil from good or anything.
Yeah. Well, and they think that's the thing to do. And they see, wow, there's 30,000, 35,000. And they go, no, at best there was 25,000. And of the 25,000, most of them were paid to be there. Not just a few of them. Most of them were paid to be there. So it's just getting ridiculous. You're putting it out there like this is how everybody else thinks. Some bozo said that on CNN. I don't know who the guy was, but 99% of the internet thinks like I do. What? Who anointed you king of the world? What the hell are you talking about? I mean, that's just how delusional they are, that my views is what everybody. No, not even your own party members who are leaving in droves because of it.
Right. I think these teenagers too look at social media, and if you click around enough on social media, it's probably not good for you to do that at any age. But you see a lot of these people just freaking out that Trump is, he's elected and he's a dictator and he's doing all, but they really have no substance behind it. Every time I see any kind of man on the street interview where they ask him, it's like, well, what has he done so far that you hate so bad? And they can't answer. There's no answer. It's all about emotion. It's all about a movement that they know nothing about.
Might as well be carrying a big club and go, ugh, blonde man bad, orange man no good.
Exactly.
Ugh.
Exactly.
It's like, go back to your cave and shut up.
I don't know. Was it ever brought out why this teenager killed his parents? I mean, did he say that in the manifesto?
I think he was that disturbed, and they were telling him, no, you don't. He may have talked to them about it, something to that effect. But I have not seen the whole manifesto, because that's one of the things that the left media will not put out there. It's like, ooh, this is all against, yeah, this is bad for us, so we're not going to talk about it.
Speaking of the media, this is, I think it's an ABC. No. I forgot what it was, but up in Wisconsin anyway, this is how the news reported on it.
Tonight, 17-year-old Nikita Kasip, already charged with the chilling double murder of his Wisconsin parents, now in the FBI's crosshairs for, investigators believe, plotting to kill President Donald Trump, according to newly unsealed federal court documents. The news stunning the small city of Waukesha. This FBI affidavit saying authorities found in the teen's phone a manifesto calling for the assassination of the President of the United States in order to foment a political revolution and promote white supremacy, along with materials linking him to a neo-Nazi extremist group. Investigators writing Kasip in messages with someone said he planned to use a drone in the attack that would drop a bomb with nuts, bolts, needles, and then flee to Ukraine. The affidavit stating Kasip had paid for, at least in part, a drone and explosives and was communicating with someone with a Ukrainian number. It did not say where or when he allegedly planned to target the president. This after, back in late February, local authorities during a welfare check found the teen's parents shot to death in the family home. The affidavit saying the couple had been dead for roughly 2 weeks and Cassip living in the home with their bodies, then fleeing before he was arrested in Kansas. Investigators writing the killing of his parents appeared to be an effort to obtain the financial means and autonomy necessary to carry out his plan.
So he killed his parents to get the money, apparently, so it seems,
Right.
to
So he had money. He had like 14,000 on him or something, I heard. He was
incredible.
also part of a satanic cult. Funny how they left that part out.
Well, yeah,
Um,
because he's, normally they try to paint the right as the white supremacists and the neo-Nazis and everything, but apparently he's not on our side. I mean, he's on.
no. And who knows? The parents might have been, and he disagreed with them. And these things that he belonged to were telling him otherwise. And he figured, well, they're right. My parents are a couple of idiots. And it's just sad what all this rhetoric, I'm going to stay with that word, because it has led to. I mean, it's just, you listen to what I've had friends that recently tell me stuff. Oh, there's like, oh, you've been watching CNN again, haven't you? Well, yeah, that's the new. Okay, MSNBC, CNN, either one of them doesn't make any difference. I like to check MSNBC for what just took place and how they spin and flip it around to where that's not at all what they said and definitely isn't what they meant, but they're spinning it. They're still trying to push this horrible, horrible negative rhetoric toward Americans.
Well, the mainstream media seems like they will cater whatever the news is and adjust it to fit their agenda. It's all about an agenda, and their agenda right now is to paint Trump as a terrible, terrible person that deserves to be plotted against, to be killed. Apparently, he's had
50% agree with that. That, oh yeah, no, he should be. How in the, what kind of people are you talking to? Good Lord. That
evil.
that's just okay. Yeah, that's something that's all right. No, it's not.
I think it's typical for a teenager to think that their parents are wrong and they're misguided or whatever. I think that I'm sure I thought that same way. But man, that's taken a little bit too far. And I really blame a lot of the way the mainstream media twists things, like you said, the spin that they put on things, and social media with all these people that are just these 50%, like you talked about, that thinks that he ought to be assassinated. They're on social media spouting that whole hate and
Well,
everybody.
and the indoctrination that you get when you send your kids off to the little indoctrination camps, and with all the liberals that say this is what should be, that's not good either, especially on very impressionable youth. That's just wrong what they do.
Absolutely, absolutely, and in an effort to be totally fair, people who would seem to agree politically with our side of the aisle and are sometimes evil and whacked out as well. Here is a local ABC News report in Pennsylvania about the horrific events at the governor's mansion there, which we completely think is terrible. Here we go.
An arrest has been made in the arson case at Governor Josh Shapiro's home. Right now, we know the suspect is in the hospital and he will not be arraigned today. The governor's family was at home at the time of the fire, with extended family in the home to celebrate Passover. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has the details on the distraction done.
Authorities in Pennsylvania have announced an arrest in the arson investigation at Governor Josh Shapiro's official residence. 38-year-old Cody Balmer is expected to face charges including attempted murder, terrorism, arson, and assault.
He clearly had a plan. He was very methodical in his approach and moved through it without a lot of hurry.
Flames broke out at the governor's mansion in Harrisburg around 2 a.m. yesterday when Shapiro, a 2024 vice presidential contender, and his family were asleep inside.
State troopers assigned to our detail banged on our door, woke us up and told us we had an emergency and needed to leave immediately. Together, we secured all of our children, our 2 dogs, our family that was staying with us.
Authorities say the suspect hopped a fence and used what sources described as a Molotov cocktail to start the fire, causing significant damage. Sources say Balmer is a mechanic who has expressed disdain for Democrats on social media, primarily related to financial issues. Authorities are also looking at whether the attack on the first night of Passover was motivated by Shapiro's Jewish faith. Just hours before the fire, Shapiro shared this photo of his family's Seder table on social media, apparently the same room that was later engulfed in flames.
Lori and I are overwhelmed by the prayers.
Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
Yeah, I feel so bad for him. I mean, we certainly don't see things politically the same, but I mean, if he was targeted because he's Jewish, how in the world? And this is a right winger. This is a guy that agrees with us probably politically on almost everything. The guy who perpetrated this, I got no sympathy for him at all. He needs to be under the jail.
That's put him away for if it would have been in earlier times, he would be at the end of a rope shortly. So this is stuff we don't agree with. It happens to be a Republican thug, not any different than a Democratic thug. That should never. I don't wish that kind of stuff on anybody. Neither one of us do, and that's not something that should have ever happened to begin with. Whether he was a Democrat, a Republican, whether he was Jewish or not, that's not what we do in this country.
Yeah. No, fellow human beings should be, in this country, we still have the First Amendment, where if you want to praise or worship Allah or the God of Israel or whatever, I mean, that's up to you. And nobody should be targeted because of that. And I'm not assuming, but that is the assumption here that it's going on. Plus, this guy just hated Democrats. Again, you've got people on the right that will stoke those fires and get everybody all excited. And it's like, look, we just have a difference of opinion. And yes, I think it's evil that they're saying abortion is okay up to 9 months and the whole thing, and having men and women's sports. We can talk about all that, and I think that's terrible to do that. But does anybody who holds that opinion need to be killed or need to be attacked? No. This is where the men are separated from the boys, I think.
Yep. And then we got, boy, this is the bad news section of the day.
Yeah, I know. I'm really sorry we recorded this part. We do have another story here I think we can get to. We'll probably end up going a little bit over on this. But supposedly there was someone from Maryland deported on this big mass deportation that has been started, thought to be a member of a gang and supposedly was not, kind of complicated. But here's the press conference with El Salvadorian President Bukele and supporting lines from Attorney General Pambandi and Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller is really good. Here we go.
Let's hear the question from this very low-rated anchor at CB.
Thank you, President. Do you plan to ask President Bukele to help return the man who your administration says was mistakenly deported? The man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador?
Well, let me ask Pam, would you ask to answer that question?
Sure, President. First and foremost, he was illegally in our country. He had been illegally in our country. And in 2019, two courts, an immigration court and an appellate immigration court, ruled that he was a member of MS-13 and he was illegally in our country. Right now, it was additional paperwork had needed to be done. That's up to El Salvador if they want to return him. That's not up to us. The Supreme Court ruled, President, that if, as El Salvador wants to return him, this is international matters, foreign affairs. If they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane. So will you return him?
And you are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Wait a minute. Can you just also respond to that question? Because, it's asked by CNN and they always ask it with a slant because they're totally slanted because they don't know what's happening. That's why nobody's watching them. But would you answer that question also?
Yes, gladly. So as Pam mentioned, there's an illegal alien from El Salvador. So with respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador. So it's very arrogant even for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens as a starting point. As two immigration courts found that he was a member of MS-13. When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States. So he had a deportation order that was valid. which meant that under our law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States and had to be returned because of the foreign terrorist designation. This issue was then, by a district court judge, completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful, and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the president could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador, who again is a member of MS-13, which, as I'm sure you understand, rapes little girls, murders women, murders children, is engaged in the most barbaric activities in the world. And I can promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
So you don't plan to ask for
Supreme
anything
Court's
to get
asking
him back?
to.
Is
And
that-
what was the ruling in the Supreme Court, Steve? Was it 9-0?
Yes, it was a 9-0
In our favor.
in our favor against the district court ruling, saying that no district court has the power to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. As Pam said, the ruling solely stated that if this individual at El Salvador's sole discretion was sent back to our country, that we could deport him a second time.
Well,
No version of this legally ends up with him ever living here because he is a citizen of El Salvador. That is the president of El Salvador. Your questions about it per the court can only be directed to him.
I asked.
Se lo
President
liberaría,
Bukele, what do you-
Presidente
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm also not suggesting that I smuggle terrorists into the United States, right?
It's always.
How can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not gonna do it. It's like, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
It's a ridiculous question. I love the way he answered that.
Yeah, it's like, no, they kept saying no, 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 no. And then she goes, I still want to know, are you going to return him? What part of no did you not get? And here's the other thing that was hilarious yesterday. You may not have heard about this, but Trump said, it's CNN and they really do hate America. Well, CNN actually said on their show, oh, and we do want to report that as CNN, we do not hate America. They had to say that we don't. I thought that was the best thing I heard all day yesterday.
You have to have a disclaimer where you say you don't hate the country that you live in. Oh my gosh, what does that tell you?
I know. So I didn't think you'd heard that. I just happened to catch that little blip, and it was like, that was hilarious.
Fantastic. I need to find that we'll play next week if I can find it. Hey, we're way over a break, so let's do that. When we come back, we're going to hear from Stacey Abrams, which you just can never get enough of her.
Yeah,
so,
the best how-to book ever on how to get $2 billion, on how to be a $2 billionaire.
I'm sure that's coming up. I mean, it's got to be. Hang in there. We'll be right back.